I never thought something as ordinary as a trail of ants could completely change my life. But looking back now, that was the very first sign that something was seriously wrong. This story started about 2 years ago. I was 30 years old at the time. At that age, you're supposed to be chasing your career, traveling on weekends, maybe thinking about relationships, not about illness. Definitely not about chronic diseases like diabetes. I wasn't overweight, I didn't smoke, I rarely drank. I wasn't a gym freak, but I wasn't a couch potato either. By most people's standards, I was a pretty healthy guy. So when the symptoms started, I brushed them off. At first, it was the thirst. I started feeling thirsty all the time, at work, at home, even in the middle of the night. I thought maybe I was just dehydrated or maybe I had too much salt in my diet. I began carrying a water bottle everywhere I went. Some days I drank close to 5 liters of water. People around me joked, "You drink like a fish." I laughed with them, but deep down, something didn't feel right. Then came the frequent urination. I was going to the bathroom almost every hour, even at night. I'd wake up 2, sometimes 3 times to pee. That had never happened before. I was the kind of person who could sleep straight through until morning. Now I was tossing and turning, constantly waking up and always tired. Next came the hunger. Not just regular hunger, but this gnawing, desperate kind of hunger that wouldn't go away no matter how much I ate. I found myself craving sugar constantly. I never used to be into sweets, but suddenly I was buying candy and chocolate just to get through the day. I even kept a stash of sweets in my drawer at work, just in case I needed a quick hit. And here, where it gets weird, even though I was eating more than usual, I was losing weight fast. I lost nearly 20 pounds in just a few months without exercising or dieting. People complimented me, saying I looked slimmer and healthier. I smiled and thanked them, but inside I was confused. How could I be eating so much and still shrinking? Then came the ants. One morning, I had just used the bathroom. I left in a hurry to take a call, and when I came back a few minutes later, I saw it, a trail of ants marching straight toward the toilet. Not a few ants, a whole army. I stood there frozen. Why were they so interested in the toilet? I cleaned it up, shrugged it off, and went on with my day. But the thought stuck in my mind like a splinter. I remembered something my grandmother once said a long time ago. Ants can smell sugar. If you ever see them around your pee, go get checked for diabetes. At the time, I laughed, but now I wasn't laughing. Still, I told myself it was silly. I was too young for diabetes. I wasn't overweight, I wasn't lazy, I ate okay. I was probably just tired, stressed, maybe drinking too much caffeine. Right. But then, out of nowhere, my YouTube algorithm started throwing me videos about kidney disease. One after another. Symptoms to watch out for. Warning signs, early detection, I don't even know how or why. But I clicked on one video and then another, and suddenly I was down the rabbit hole. The symptoms they described were way too familiar. Frequent urination, foamy urines, excessive thirst, fatigue. I stopped breathing for a moment. It was all happening to me. Suddenly, I wasn't worried about diabetes anymore. I was terrified it might be kidney failure. I panicked. I remembered my neighbor, strong, healthy, full of life, until one day he collapsed, kidney failure. Now he barely walks, can't work, depends on dialysis to survive. His life was completely changed in a matter of months. I didn't want that to happen to me. I was scared out of my mind. So I made an appointment. I signed up for a full blood panel, liver, kidney, cholesterol, everything. And just in case, I asked them to add one more test, A1C, a test that measures your average blood sugar over the past 3 months. I'd read somewhere that it's the best way to check for type 2 diabetes. They did the ultrasound first. The doctor told me I had mild fatty liver but nothing serious. Totally manageable, he said. I felt relieved. The blood results would take 3 days. And those 3 days felt like 3 years. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't focus. My mind kept playing worst-case scenarios. What if it's my kidneys? What if it's too late? Finally, the message came through. Your lab results are ready. I rushed to my computer, logged into the clinic's portal, entered my patient ID, and started scrolling. Liver function normal. Kidney function normal. Cholesterol normal. I started breathing again. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe I just needed to relax. Then I saw it. The last line of the report. A1C 10.1%. Marked in bright red. My heart dropped. My chest tightened. I didn't blink, I didn't move. I just stared at that number. 10.1%. Not 6.5, not even 7. 10.1 is full-blown, uncontrolled diabetes. And that number was mine. I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. I read it over and over again, hoping I had made a mistake. But it was there, clear as day. That red number felt like a death sentence. I was officially diabetic. I didn't tell anyone right away. I needed time to process, time to think. I sat there for what felt like hours, just staring at the screen. And then somewhere between fear and denial, a question popped into my head. Is this the end, or could it be the beginning? That question changed everything. Because that was the moment I decided to fight. I wasn't going to accept this as my fate. I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life on pills and insulin. I was going to figure out how to take control of my health, naturally if I could. I didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. But I knew one thing: I had to try. That's where my real journey began. In the next video, I'll share what I did, step by step, to bring my blood sugar down without medication and without losing my mind. If you're watching this and going through something similar, please remember, you're not alone. I've been there. And if I can turn it around, maybe you can too. 2 years ago, I got my blood test results back and my A1C was 10.1%. I froze. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't expect it to be that bad. That number didn't mean I was pre-diabetic. It wasn't just a warning. It was full-blown type 2 diabetes and a pretty severe case. I sat there alone, staring at the screen. My mind started flooding with fears: insulin injections, hospital visits, long-term complications like kidney failure, blurred vision, amputations. My future, which once felt wide open, suddenly looked terrifying. But as that wave of panic passed, one question rose above the fear. Is there anything I can do about this? I didn't want to live the rest of my life depending on medications. I've never been the type to give up easily. That very night, I decided to do one simple but important thing: double-check for myself. The next morning, I went out and bought a home glucose monitor. You know, the kind where you prick your fingertip, collect a drop of blood, insert the test strip, and wait for the screen to tell you the truth. I'd seen older people use it before, but now it was my turn. With the device in my hand, my heart was pounding. I washed my hands, pricked my finger, and waited. The screen beeped, then flashed 15. I couldn't believe it. 15 is dangerously high. I looked it up and saw that it roughly translates to an A1C of 11.03%, even worse than the lab result. I didn't need any more confirmation. My blood sugar was out of control. But this time, instead of feeling helpless, I felt a spark, a drive to understand. I couldn't fight something I didn't understand. That same night, I began what would become a deep dive into everything I could learn about diabetes. I scoured the internet for books, medical journals, patient stories, anything I could get my hands on. That night alone, I skimmed through more than 200 pages, eyes tired, but mind wide open. And that's when I started to truly understand what was happening inside my body. It turns out diabetes isn't just about eating too much sugar or bad luck with genetics. Type 2 diabetes is a metabolic breakdown. My body was still producing insulin, but my cells were no longer responding to it. It's called insulin resistance. So the sugar I ate wasn't being used, it was just building up in my blood, causing damage. I also learned that my liver, the organ that processes sugar, was likely overloaded. Years of excess energy had caused fatty liver, which messes with insulin signaling even more. That combination, insulin resistance and a fatty liver, was creating a vicious cycle inside me. I started taking notes. What is insulin? What does the liver do? How does fat inside our organs quietly destroy us? Every concept I uncovered helped me feel more in control. For the first time, I realized I had gone most of my life without really understanding my own body. Then I came across one sentence in a medical book that nearly broke me. It said, "Type 2 diabetes cannot be completely cured. Once diagnosed, you will live with it for life." I sat there in silence. Those words hit me like a punch in the chest. After all the learning, all the hope, this felt like a dead end. But just below that, in smaller print, I saw this. However, with the right lifestyle changes, this condition can be reversed. And if maintained properly, you can live as if you never had diabetes. My heart lit up. Reversed. Live like normal again. That was all I needed to hear. There was still hope. In the days that followed, I kept reading. But I quickly realized something: there's a ton of information out there, and most of it is either too general, too conflicting, or way too technical. Some sources said to do, others said to avoid fasting. One expert would say eat carbs in moderation, while another screamed cut out all sugar now. I felt overwhelmed, but I didn't stop. Instead, I started connecting the dots. I looked at what top doctors were saying, people like Dr. Jason, Dr. Berg, the ADA guidelines, and hundreds of stories from real people managing their blood sugar successfully. And one thing became clear. Every body is different, you have to understand yourself. So I started building my own picture, learning what worked for others, testing what felt right for me, and slowly putting the pieces together. If you're still here listening to this story, then maybe you're like I was back then, scared, unsure, and trying to make sense of it all. I just want you to know you're not alone. I've been there, and I'm still on this journey. I can't share everything I've learned in just one video, but I'm here, and I'm sharing it piece by piece in real time based on real experience. So if you want to walk this road with me, hit that subscribe button and follow along. Let's learn together, let's heal together. And let's take our lives back one step at a time. After learning the truth about my condition and what was really happening inside my body, I made a choice. I wasn't going to just sit back and wait for things to get worse. I was going to do something about it. I didn't know exactly what the journey would look like, but I knew I had to try. And here's the part I still can't believe. After just 3 months of consistent effort, my A1C dropped from 10.1% down to 6.5%. Now sure, 6.5% is still in the diabetic range, but compared to where I started, it was a massive victory. A sign that my body was responding, that all the learning, the changes, the uncomfortable choices, they were paying off. I understood now that my body wasn't failing, it was just overwhelmed. Years of eating too often, too much, and the wrong things had created a perfect storm of insulin resistance and liver overload. My pancreas was still working. My liver was still trying, but the system was jammed. So I began changing things, starting with how often I ate. I came across something called intermittent fasting, especially the 16-8 method. That's where you eat all your meals within an 8-hour window and fast for the other 16 hours. I wasn't sure I could do it at first, but I gave it a try. I ate breakfast at 10 a.m., lunch at 2 p.m., and dinner at 6 p.m. After that, no more food until the next morning. At first, it was tough, but then it became surprisingly easy. My hunger levels dropped, my mind felt clearer, my energy actually went up. During those eating hours, I changed what I ate too. I cut out white rice, sugar, bread, and processed snacks. Instead, I had brown rice, boiled chicken, tofu, lots of salad with olive oil, and vegetables like okra, bell peppers, and mushrooms. And then something unexpected happened. I got constipated. Like really constipated. One night, I spent nearly an hour in the bathroom, sweating, straining, wondering what went wrong. I was eating so many vegetables, wasn't fiber supposed to help? Turns out not all fiber works the same. I was eating tons of insoluble fiber, the kind that adds bulk but not enough soluble fiber which forms a gel and helps everything move smoothly. So I adjusted. I added chia seeds to my salads. I included okra, which has a kind of natural slime that actually helps with digestion. Within a few days, everything was flowing again, literally. I also started walking daily. Nothing intense, just gentle walks, 20-30 minutes in the morning or evening, enough to move my muscles and clear my head. No gym, no pressure, just movement. I changed my sleep too. I used to stay up past 1 a.m. scrolling endlessly or watching videos. Now I made a rule: in bed before 11 p.m. No screens an hour before sleep, just a hot shower, a little reading, and lights out. That one change made a huge difference. My morning energy came back, my mood stabilized, and I didn't feel as hungry at night. Over time, my weight stabilized at around 160 pounds. My face looked healthier. My skin cleared up. Even the acne on my back started fading. I honestly didn't expect that, and despite eating less, I never felt weak. In fact, I felt more alive. Looking back, I realized how much I used to overeat, not just out of hunger, but boredom, habit, stress. I was flooding my system with more energy than it needed, and my body was desperately trying to cope. Now, by eating less and giving my system space to breathe, everything started working again. I don't claim to have all the answers, but after just 3 months of eating smarter, moving gently, and giving my body time to reset, I saw real results. My A1C dropped to 6.5%. I wasn't starving. I wasn't on meds. I wasn't spending hours in the gym. I was simply living better. And if you're still listening, I want to say you can do this too. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start. Start with one small change, then another. And if you'd like some company on the way, I'll be here, sharing what works, what didn't, and everything I've learned the hard way. So if this helped you at all, hit subscribe. Stay with me, share this with someone you care about. Let's walk this journey together step by step, meal by meal, day by day. The hardest part about changing your health isn't starting, it's continuing. Anyone can eat clean for a week or fast for a few days. But what happens when life gets busy again? When there's a birthday party, a family dinner, or a long weekend away? That's where I struggled the most, turning short-term effort into a lifestyle that lasts. So I had to change the way I saw myself. I stopped thinking of this as a diet or a temporary fix. Instead, I told myself, I'm someone who lives healthy now, not someone trying to reverse diabetes, but someone who simply eats in a way that gives me energy and peace. That shift made every choice easier. I didn't have to argue with myself every time I saw dessert. I'd just say, that's not for me anymore, and move on. But the real challenge, social pressure, people around me didn't understand at first. Come on, it's just one bite, they'd say, or you're not sick anymore, right? You can eat like normal now. At first, I tried to explain. I talked about insulin resistance, blood sugar spikes, and liver fat, but after a while I realized they didn't need a lecture, they just needed a smile. So I started saying things like, I'm eating clean today, or I feel better this way. That was enough. And over time, the people around me got used to it. Some even got curious and asked how they could start too. Another thing that tested me was all the conflicting advice. One day I'd read that intermittent fasting was amazing. The next day someone would say it's dangerous. Some said cut all carbs, others said eat whole grains. At first I felt lost, but eventually I learned something important. I don't need the perfect answer, I just need to pay attention to my own body. So I tested things, I tracked my energy, my blood sugar, how I felt after meals. Slowly I built my own roadmap. And now when I hear new advice, I don't panic. I just stay curious. I ask, will this work for me? If yes, great. If not, I move on. My routine. I stopped trying to cook something new every day. I found 3 to 5 meals that worked for me and just rotated them. Brown rice with veggies, grilled chicken salad, chia pudding, stir-fried greens, that was enough. I kept healthy snacks nearby, boiled eggs, almonds, or Greek yogurt. I didn't make it complicated. I made it consistent. That consistency became my superpower. Of course, some days were harder than others. There were mornings I woke up tired, unmotivated, or tempted. I'm human, so instead of waiting for motivation, I created small reminders. I stuck a note on my mirror that said, your future self is proud of you. I kept a screenshot of my first blood sugar reading on my phone. I told myself, just win today, not the whole month, just today. And when I slipped up, and yes, I didn't punish myself. I didn't say I failed. I just said, okay, that happened. What can I do next? I drink more water, take a walk, reset my focus. That mindset saved me more than once. Little by little, all of this became normal. I started sleeping better, waking up clear-headed, my weight stayed stable, my skin improved, my mood lifted. But more than that, I felt free from cravings, free from food guilt, free from the fear that my health was out of my hands. I didn't dread meals anymore, I looked forward to them. And now I'm not on a diet, I'm living a new way. I'm not chasing perfect blood sugar, I'm chasing a life that feels good day in, day out. So if you're listening to this and you're struggling, I want you to know something. You're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not too late. You just haven't found what works for you yet, but you can. And if this story helps you even a little, I'd be honored if you subscribed, stuck around, and shared it with someone who needs it. Because I believe this, we are stronger when we heal together. And this journey, it's just getting started. There's one part of this journey that I haven't talked about much yet, and maybe it's the most important one. The part where everything gets quiet again. After the numbers go down. After your clothes start fitting better. After the praise from your doctor, the compliments from friends, the energy that returns to your mornings, there comes a moment where it's just you again. Alone in your kitchen, or sitting in your car, or walking down the grocery aisle past all the things you used to eat. That's when it hits you, this isn't just about fixing a health problem anymore. It's about protecting the life you fought so hard to reclaim. Because healing, real healing, isn't loud, it's quiet. It's in the decision to say no to the second helping. It's in the moment you lace up your shoes and go for a walk, even though no one's watching. It's in the way you forgive yourself after a bad day and try again the next. And somewhere along the way, the fear fades. The cravings lose their power, and a deep peace starts to grow inside you, not because life got easy, but because you got stronger. For me, this journey wasn't about getting my A1C to a certain number, although I did. It wasn't about fitting into a smaller pair of jeans, although that happened too. It was about finally realizing that I deserve to feel well, that my health isn't just something I manage, it's something I protect, something I value, something I choose every single day. If you're here still listening, I want to thank you not just for watching but for caring. Whether you're just starting out or you're deep in your own journey, please know you are not alone. There are millions of us quietly walking this path, choosing life, one mindful meal, one intentional breath, one hopeful day at a time. And I hope in some small way this story has helped you feel a little more seen, a little more hopeful, a little more capable. If it has, I'd be truly honored if you liked this video and subscribed to the channel Vitality Vows. Not just to support me, but to join a growing community of people who believe that healing is possible, that change is real, that life can be beautiful again even after diagnosis. Because this isn't the end. It's just the beginning. And we're just getting started.